read these scriptures over and over again this week, I keep thinking about how they touch my heart in so many different ways. Different ways because of the different emotions human beings go through. I think about Leviticus. It's just a list of rules. Just a list of rules, and those rules were actually written for the priesthood. They weren't written for everybody, just the priesthood. But they're rules that we can all live by. One of them that I have the hardest time is living by, and I think a lot of us do, are that one that talks about honoring God. What do you mean, preacher? It says we're to honor God by telling the truth always. How many of us can actually say that? It says we should honor God by loving one another. We all say we love one another until we get mad at each other, and then it's like, oh Lord, I don't want to see your face again for a while. That's not exactly love. We think about it. We think about it a lot. We think about honoring other people and their beliefs. Yeah, sometimes that's hard to do because, they don't believe exactly the way I believe. And God help us if you don't believe exactly the way I believe. Because I know I'm right. How many of the rest of you feel that way when it comes to things? I'm right. They live in a world of delusion. Or they haven't studied enough. Or they haven't opened their heart up enough to accept what's right and what's wrong. And we think about all of that. It talks about sharing. Sharing sometimes something hard for all of us to do. Because when it comes to sharing, what we want to share most is with those we love. Now think about it. We want to take care of our partners. We want to take care of our children. We want to take care of our parents. If there's any left over, we might share some with our siblings. But Lord knows Susie makes more money than I do, so I'm not sharing too much with Susie.
That's right.
I'm just picking on my sister Susie. But I think about it. I think we all think about things like that, whether we'll admit it or not. We talk about loving one another. But yet weeks can go by and we don't pick up the phone, or we don't take a ride somewhere to talk to somebody that we know is lonely. I'm probably one of the biggest abusers of that because I hate to use the telephone. Really do. I hate to use the telephone. I have Suzette do all my calling for me because she likes to talk on the phone. So I have her call my relatives. I have her call my daughter-in-law, and at times I even have her call my son. I only talk to him if he has to talk to me because I don't like to use the phone. And I think about those things, and I think, God forgive me, because that's not part of loving. So Leviticus comes with a whole lot of things that we're supposed to do that we have trouble doing. And then I get to good old Paul. And Paul has been one that has plagued women since the beginning of time, I think. He's the one that told us to be quiet at church. The men from our old churches used to revel in that. Like to tell women they had no right to speak God's word, to teach men. Well, it's all right if you do the little bitty ones, but by God, when they get older enough to decide they're boys and not just a child, then you can't teach them anymore. And I think about all of that. And I think about loving one another. And we have trouble with Paul because he also told us, Lord, don't cut your hair. So half of us in here, if not the biggest majority of us, are on our way to hell, and you're going to send us there because you do our haircuts. Amen. So that's Paul. That's our brother Paul.
Poor brains.
And so we have a hard time with our brother Paul. But our brother Paul was also the one that praised women for helping him to set up and start churches. Did you know that? Our brother Paul was also the one that talked a lot about what it meant to be a Christian. He talked about one foundation. And I think about churches. So many churches fall apart. The church, one foundation that we sang today. It used words I haven't heard since theology school, like schisms, fights in churches. And about the tribulations we go through and about getting our noses out of joint. And it talks about all of that, and then it tells us one thing. We can't change things because the church was set up and built upon one thing, and that was Christ. And that we're called to be Christ-like in all we do. And I think about that. I think about how Christ-like are we? How Christ-like are we in accepting people from where they are, who they are, and what they are? Not asking them to change, because, I think of Jesus, and he never really asked people to change. He'd just say, go and sin no more. That's what he said to the prostitute. That's what he said to the ones possessed by the demons. He used to say some other things, like to the lepers. Only one came back, where's the rest? Does that sound like us, maybe? And some of the people we know? They're here with their hands out when they need something, and then they receive it, never see them again. Only one comes back to say thank you. And life goes on. And yet Jesus went on helping, doing, and caring for all people. And then we get to the gospel. The gospel's kind of hard. Love your enemies. Pray for your enemies. See, it's really easy to love the people that are like you, the people that you're related to. It's easy to love them. Sometimes it's hard to forgive them. Sometimes it's even hard to like them. But to love them, we do that without thinking. Think about my own children. There are some times that, oh Lord, I'd love to smack them. And I tell the truth. Like when they were babies, turn them over my knee and just set that backside of it on fire. And hope they learn from it. But the truth of the matter is no matter what they do, and no matter the fact that they're bigger and stronger than me, I'll still love them, no matter what they do. And that's what God is calling on us to do. To love one another. To love us beyond all doubt. Beyond all rejection. To love one another. For us in this day and time, it's very hard. Things are going on in our government, and we sit back and say, boy, I sure can't love that action. Can we love the person who's doing that action? Can we pray for them? Hard thing to do. It's something we need to do. I don't know about you all, but I get real tired sometimes. Real tired of writing letters and signing petitions, talking to people and not seeing any change. But Jesus said, pray for our enemies. He said, love each other. Lay down our lives for each other. Concepts that are so hard for us to grasp and think about, but things we're called to do. We are the church of one foundation. There are a lot of different doctrines in this world. A lot of different beliefs. A lot of churches say, this is true and that is true. Just over little things like baptism. You know, can we baptize babies? No, they're not old enough. You gotta wait until they get to the age of consent. Can we baptize with the pouring on of water, the sprinkling of water? Or do we have to take them down to that nasty river and climb in and baptize them? I don't know about you, but I have no desire to climb into the Ohio to baptize anybody. I just soon go to the backyard if you want to be dunked. Dunk you in my clean pool. But God has called on us to stop that nitpicking. To stop criticizing others for it. To just realize that we are the family of God. And we're built on one foundation, and we need to be like Jesus. We need to stand for the truth. That all are created equal in God's sight. That we're all part of God's love and God's plan. We need to stand on the principle that God is the head of the church. And it's built upon Jesus and the things he did and the way he taught us to live. We need Paul and what he said. We need Jesus as the example. Why, we even need Moses with his laws. Because sometimes we just don't know what's right and what's wrong. But those laws kind of laid it out for us. Have one God and only one. Do not have idols. Honor your mother and your father. Sometimes that's hard to do. But God said honor them for the fact that they gave you life, if for nothing else. Remember not to be jealous of what other people have. It's a hard one too. Remember, don't go stealing your neighbor's wife or husband. It's just not right. remember that we, as God's children, don't want to cause the death of anybody. Sometimes we think of killing people as murder, but sometimes killing people are us forgetting that we're in a crisis in this world. There are people without food and people without water, and Lord knows when I burn that trash in the backyard that I'm polluting the air that other people have to breathe. I'm killing my environment. And it says, do not kill. Don't steal from each other. And sometimes we steal such precious things that we don't even realize it. I'm not talking about money, because like I always told Suzette, money's something that's meant to be given and taken. She says, what do you mean? I said, well, look, it folds, it's easy to put in your pocket, it's easy to pull out, it's easy to give it away. What I meant by stealing and the hard things to get back are your time, how about your love? How about your help when they didn't really need your help? All those things are precious to us, and yet we steal them from each other. So many rules that they gave us that we just need to follow. It's hard for us to do that. And so Jesus came and said, for all the ones you can't follow, I'll take your punishment. And now you're perfect again in God's sight. So let's try. Let's try to be what God's called us to be. A good people who care for each other. A good people that help each other out when they need it. But not only a person who can take, but a person who can give. Hard things for us to do. Suzette always tells me I have more trouble taking than I do giving. She's probably right. It kills me when you give me a haircut and don't charge me for it. And tell me it's a gift you give to me because you can't do a lot else. You don't know how I fight with not reaching in my pocket and handing you some money. I'm trying to learn to take as well as give. Are we all willing to learn God's gifts? It says I can't be a Christian because I can't take. Reach out and take that love that God has for you. Reach out and take the gifts that God has for you. I sit back and I think of the gifts God has given me. I thank God that this kid from the wrong side of the tracks in the city of Detroit, from the east side, that was never a good place to live, but a cheap place to live. I thank God that this person who would steal a 2-cent carton of milk to give to her little sister so she had something to eat at lunchtime. I thank God for this person who had to shop at the Goodwill if she could get together 50 cents to buy a winter coat. Now I can pretty well do what I want. Boy, Suzette tells me I don't even have to shop at Walmart's, but I can't figure any place else. And that's what we need to realize. Where we were and where we've gone. Born in a sharecropper's cabin, that's where I was born. Without even inside plumbing. To now a house with 2 bathrooms. And I praise God for it. Thank God for the gifts God has given you. Thank God for the friends that God has given you in your life. Thank God for the family you've gotten, because I got news for you, whether they're a good family or a bad family. They're what made you who you are. They're what gave you the backbone you have. That gave you the courage you have. That gave you that fighting spirit, which is an important thing, believe it or not. Because it gets us through those bad places. You've been blessed by a God whose rules you could not follow. You've been blessed by a Savior who took your sins. Amen.